Hey everyone, welcome back to You Are Here. I'm your host, Danny, and this is a podcast all about growing up, all about relationships, all about friendships, and being a little lost, but finding your way together here. And so today we are actually going to talk all about friendships. I have been thinking about this for a while, and I'm going to talk about friendships and basically what are your friends saying about you and not in the way that you think. All right, so my thoughts around this topic initially sparked because a long time ago there was a article that came out, and I cannot remember. I also never read the article myself. I was told about the article, so this could be totally bogus and don't listen to me. But the concept itself was very interesting. Essentially, it was talking about, allegedly, because we don't know if this is a real article, but allegedly, this article was talking about how you are the sum of attractiveness of your friends. Now, I think everyone is beautiful in some way, in some shape, in some form. I don't think beauty is linear. Like, I don't think there's one thing or there's one scale of beauty to measure it. I don't think that at all. So I really don't want to emphasize that whatsoever. But the idea that this article was presenting was very interesting. But it was essentially the notion that, like, who your friends are also says something about you, whether you realize it or not. And it just really made me think and really made me like just wonder about my friends. Also, being a church kid, I always heard sermons and things like that about, show me your friends, I'll show you your future, and like who you're hanging out with, who your friends are in 3 years is who you'll be as well, and like things like that, whatever. And so just there's always been an emphasis around friendship in my life. And I've talked very openly on this podcast about my friendships and stuff and my struggles and relationships and with people and in friendships. So anyways, but it really got me thinking. And the last episode we did about friends was about red flags and my like bad experiences with friends. So I really kind of wanted to talk about the friends that I do have in my life now that are incredible and that I feel like have genuinely helped me grow into a better person and help me. And hopefully maybe you're stuck or maybe you're asking questions about your friends right now of like, I don't know if I like this person or I don't know if this person likes me, and I think those questions are so normal and so healthy, genuinely. I think a part of growing up is actually evaluating who's closest to you. So I actually want to talk about that first, about the like proximity of friends within your life. I think a lot of times when I think as a child, when you get thrown into friendships or when you get thrown into relationships, really, you're a kid, you're probably going to school and everyone's throwing around the term like best friend. They're like, oh, will you be? And you're like formally asked, right? It's like, will you be my best friend? It's so sweet and like innocent. And then as you get older, you obviously get thrown into other like social situations where a responsibility of like a best friend is actually not that at all, or it actually has to be so much more than just having someone to like sit with at lunch or color with, And I think so when I was little, and I've talked about this before, but I'm pretty good at making friendships like conveniently, so I won't be alone because I am an extrovert and I don't like being alone. So I'll talk to everybody, I'll make friends, I'll make sure I have someone that I can count on, someone that I can be annoying with and annoy and be like, are you going to be here at this time? Because I'm showing up at the same time, so I'm not alone, right? And I'm good at doing that. But I think as I've gotten older, I've realized that can be kind of dangerous as well. But I say that to say, just because you have a friend that you can like rely on in like a certain situation doesn't necessarily mean that they're a great friend outside of that social circumstance. So be it school or a group or a hobby or whatever. And so that's a very interesting something, I guess, to just like think about in your life as well. Maybe you have a friend that you're like very close at like one class in college and you do text and you like hang out and stuff like that. But actually all that's really there is just that commonality or like, or that common place even. And I don't know. So sometimes that can be a little bit tricky, and, or someone can assume that they're, because they have that proximity and that availability in your life in this one sphere, they are allowed more when you're not really feeling that same way. So I don't know. There's like a double-edged sword there. But I think a part of growing up is actually understanding that you have friends in every kind of proximity within your life, right? And so I think it's easier for me. I think about it kind of like, oh my gosh, I'm like an onion. You peel back the onion the layers. But it actually kind of is like an onion. Like I feel like as you get older and as you like when you're a kid, you just have like all of these friends, right? And it's just like you're this big onion, like you just have friends. And then really as you get older and you get a little bit more experience in life, like you start peeling away those layers and like friends leave and they grow up, or they just are, you realize like they're not interesting anymore to you because you're growing and changing and you're, you know, all this stuff. And so they end up keep on peeling, and then you just end up with like a really small onion, or you just end up with a core. And so I think it's really kind of like that, where you're unraveling your friendships and in a positive way. I don't think that's a negative thing at all. I think great friends are willing to go the distance, and also not in a combative way, but they're also willing to like challenge you, and you're also receptive to that challenging, where you don't feel defensive, or you don't feel like if you say the wrong thing that they'll leave, for example. But that if you are honest with them and you take their challenge, it'll just fortify the relationship that you have. And I think that's a great example of, and that is just what a good friend is that every challenge, every mistake, every even like painful or happy moment, like actually just fortifies the relationship that you have. And it's like a mutual thing. And so yeah, I think that is that's an important thing to understand. I think as you're growing up, your friends and their proximity are not only they can be circumstantial, but they can also be deliberate. You get to choose how close people are allowed into your life, whether or not you see them every day, or you maybe see them twice a year. You get to choose. Maybe those twice a year friends are the ones that you tell everything to, and the ones that you talk to all the time, and the ones that you actually like share your heart with, and the ones that you see every day know nothing about you, but you're chill, you know, you can talk about Brad Girl Summer and you can talk about the Olympics, whatever. And so I think that is a really challenging part. For me, I really had a difficult time. I tend to just be like open book girl. Like I do not care. Like I will just share whatever about my life and with anyone really. I'm not very private. I mean, hello, I have a podcast, but, yeah, I think I definitely had to learn that not everyone is entitled to know everything about you just because I'm okay with them knowing everything about me, if that makes any sense. And yeah, which maybe if you're listening, you're like, duh, like you don't have to do that. But for me, I really had to learn that, because I think me sharing about my life, makes me feel like closer to someone, lol. Like me talking and allowing someone allowing me to just like share about my life makes me feel like we have an actual friendship and relationship. But that doesn't mean that to everyone, unfortunately. And so I've definitely learned the hard way a few times, and I've definitely got hurt along the way. And, you know, maybe it's like cynicism that's gotten me to this place, but I don't think so. I think it's just wisdom, honestly. I said this to my friends the other day, and this was like in reference to dating, but it does really apply to relationships and friendships. But you'll never regret wisdom, you know? I think, you know, whenever you cross a line in terms of like your own privacy, or like what you're comfortable with sharing and things like that, like, you know, and it kind of just makes you feel like, ugh. but you'll never regret being wise and really waiting for someone that you can trust, or even waiting for like a moment or something that tells you like, oh, this is actually a person that I value spending time with and that I trust, rather than just like spilling your guts just because you can. And yeah, so anyways, that really was really challenging for me. And I think also I tend to be the kind of person where I am like double down girl. Like anything that I say, I mean it. And I'll say it to your face. And I don't really say things that I wouldn't feel comfortable saying to people's face anyways. So anytime like I don't know, I talk about my personal life, I'm like, yeah, and I don't really have anything, to hide, I feel like. But again, you don't need to share everything with everyone. And it's just a bummer to learn sometimes. But again, I won't regret wisdom, and I won't regret maybe sharing those things in a different context that is not school or work or whatever, in front of other people that I don't care them knowing either. So anyways, yeah, it is just a weird thing to learn though. All right. So first, that's my first note. Proximity relationships, you get to choose that. And then the other side that I wanted to talk about friendships is the actual truth of that initial study about attractiveness. Which again, alleged study, because I never read this article. I just heard about it. But I do think there is some validity in your friends are talking about you. Whether they're like actually not, whether they're actually talking about you behind your back, which I hope they're not. But your friends do say a lot about you. And not to get all life coachy, scary, like alpha male version of the internet, but it really is like, they're kind of right though sometimes because your friends and who you're around really are the sum. I think a lot of the times they're the sum of your future, in like maybe that's a little bit harsh, but the things that they dream about, their ambitions, their goals, things like that, what they value in their life. I mean, a lot of the reasons why you're friends with them is probably because you value the same things, because you do the same things, you enjoy the same things. And, I'm really thankful that the friends I have in my life that I see all the time, we're like very ambitious people. We have dreams, we have goals, we have like very strong values, and they do all add up and they line up. And I'm also aware of the friends that I have, or that I have had, that it totally makes sense why they fell out of my life, because they didn't care about the same things. We didn't actually care about the same things. I was a victim to my own skill of making like close friends, and then I ended up with a friend that I actually didn't have anything in common with. And I think sometimes you have to learn that way, but I will say, if you can learn from my mistakes, you absolutely should. And I think that your friends should always be either on your same level of where you totally agree, or like a bit above you, because I don't know, I'm watching the Olympics right now, which, as I hope you are as well, from wherever you're watching from, rooting for your country as well. No, but wait, let me rabbit trail for a second about the Olympics. The way that I was crying at that woman from St. Lucia winning the 100-meter, like I mean, USA got silver and bronze in that, but the way they cut to the clip of like her island, I mean, her entire island just celebrating, it's tears streaming down my face. Like, I genuinely, when I say I'm rooting for a country, like I'm rooting for your country as well, because the way I'm like, yeah, I'm literally Irish in this moment, watching this sweet Irish man win this relay or whatever the heck in swimming. Like, I just can't help it. I can't help it. But anyways, USA and everyone else, so happy you all made it there. But now back to what I was talking about. I do think like it's a little bit, why was I talking about the Olympics? I had to get that out, and then I lost my train of thought. Okay, wait. I have it. Do I have it? Okay, yeah. But anyways, rooting for you, rooting for your country. Oh my gosh, I lost it. Completely lost my thought. Well, it was a good one, y'all. Cut the cameras. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But anyways, so I think that your friends and who they are, it really, oh, that's what I was saying. It's like the Olympics in terms of like you have all these incredible athletes and a lot of them have won world records. A lot of them have gone on have had like amazing accolades already in their sports and in their events and things like that. But they knew that there was better out there in the whole world, and it wasn't enough for them to be the best in their country or their region or wherever, and they had to make it on the world stage and like test their skill and test their limits in a completely different way. And I think your friends kind of do that as well. When you're around friends that are like that have way bigger dreams than you or think completely different than you or have completely like weird opinions or whatever, like all of those things actually make you a better person because they challenge you, and they also they make whatever skills you have, whatever dreams you have, they either make them bigger or they make you like double down and make you want to make them a reality, you know? And that's kind of like the power of friendship. And I think also why when I was a kid, there was such an emphasis around friends, because friends really do have so much influence in your life. And if you're around people that don't have any ambition, don't have any goals, don't like have any, you know, they don't really want to do a lot in their life, that's totally fine. But if that's not who you want to be, I would encourage you to find some friends that do have those goals, that do have those things, and also evaluate how you acquired these friends, you know? Because I think for me, a lot of times in my life, when I was around someone that I was like, I don't even think I like this person, it was because I just was around them, and it was again like a convenience thing. And so the proximity allowed them into my life, and then I didn't have the communication skills to say like, actually, I don't want this close of a friendship anymore. And so I kind of just would stick it out. And that obviously ended up biting me in the butt more often than not. Yeah. So I think that is like that's a huge part of your friends and like of finding friends, is your values and also just like your passions and ambition. All of those things really matter. Yeah. And also, like, as you get older, finding friends is very challenging. I think a lot of times finding friends in like your 20s, it's like at work, or maybe like if you are one of the rare few that has a hobby, you're at your hobby. I don't know. It is very like strange to like find like deep intimate friends, but I think there's always someone in your life that you, whether it's from like a distance or maybe you do see them every day, that you do like deeply admire. I'm in the era of trying to find women in my life that are older than me. Maybe not like, I mean, I'm fine older, like I would love to have like an elderly lady who's like my friend, but who's like a little bit more ahead of me, married, probably with like a family. I don't know, just like in a different season of life. And I'm glad that I'm in a great space where I have a lot of those women already, but just someone that I can that can like pour into me and also challenge me, because I don't think I'm right all the time. I do think I'm correct, but I don't think I'm right all the time. And so I want to grow and I want to learn, and I also don't want to be like cornered by my perspective and also by my life, right? Like I'm a single girl, I'm in her 20s, I'm on the internet too much, and I have all these other single friends, which is great, who are also always on the internet and doing their careers, and like I live essentially like a version of my life as well, which is great, but I do want a different perspective. And I think that's the other part about friendships that are so wonderful, is that different perspectives is power, because you really do learn, or like, maybe I say that better. different perspectives are a superpower. Basically saying the same thing. I feel like that statement is wrong. Different perspectives are, I think I said different perspective is power, which maybe perspectives are power. Yeah. Do I like that? I don't know. But either way, the sentiment is the same. I think different perspectives, new perspectives are such a powerful thing that when you understand how valuable other people's lives are, other people's journeys are, other people's paradigms are, you really do begin leaning into them rather than away from them. And I think that's another part about growing up, is that you realize that the stories that people have to tell and their struggles, everything like that, that's what really makes relationships so valuable and so important. And when you become a person that can absorb the shock of different perspectives and then like fortify your own beliefs or have those beliefs be challenged rather than be like offended, I think that's like when you're in the best place to grow and to learn. And personally, I don't think that's a place any adult or any young adult should ever leave. I think that should always be such an important part of who we are as people, and all people in general. And so I'm very open to hear that and to be around people that challenge me. I love a challenge, and I love just like growing a challenge, yeah, and as well as like growing in my compassion for other people and what people have walked through. I think that's always so valuable as well. Just because it, again, like a different perspective can change your life, and that's why I love friendship. That's why I love the internet. Honestly, I love that there are so many different kinds of people on the internet, good and bad, and you get to see so many different types of people interact with each other that otherwise would have never interacted with each other. And so I really hope this podcast allows that. I mean, I have brought guests on, but I hope my perspective is a little different than yours, and that we can both grow together, and that obviously yours is different than mine. And I am so like, I'm annoyed that nobody comments on these videos. Like I want to hear what you guys think, if you agree with me or if you have a different perspective, or maybe your story about your own friendships. I want to hear that, and I want to talk to you guys. But yeah, so anyways, I think friendships are really awesome. I do want to give you guys, since I did do friend red flags, but they were about you, I do want to give friend green flags. And maybe I'll make them as well about inward, because you're really the only one that can control you, you know? Okay, so first green flag for you when you're in a space to make a close friend, I think is you're ready to hear a new perspective and you're not going to get offended. I feel like offense is something that really does like absolutely like choke out relationships, chokes out friendships. And when I say you're not going to get offended, I mean you won't get offended about anything. Like if you meet a friend and they have a different political perspective than you, and they share that with you, you can challenge that. But there's a way to challenge a thought or an idea that is not actually like offensive to who they are as a person. And I think when you're in a space to receive that and to take the hit of it and to ask like questions rather than to interrogate someone or change someone's mind, I think that is when you're in a great space to make a close friend, to let them in that inner circle, you know, because I think there's also a difference between passion and like anger, right? Like you can be passionate about something and care deeply about something. But anger is always way more personal. Anger tends to go at someone's humanity, whereas passion tends to speak on behalf of like what is best for the whole. And it's hard to be angry and passionate at the same time, because a lot of times anger will 100% overtake your passion, and people will only hear they were angry, not they were passionate. And so I think that's another good point to make as well, where when you are also aware, maybe that's my second point, Number two, you're self-aware of the things that make you angry or the things you're passionate about that could maybe spark anger or frustration in you. That and I just think that's just a general good rule of thumb. You know, you're going to be around different kinds of people. You're going to be around different environments where people may disagree with you or have different opinions or thoughts or comments to say about whatever. And there is a way to communicate your thoughts and your passion in a way that actually does not isolate people that think differently than you, but invites them in to your thought process and invites them into your passion. And maybe it doesn't change their mind, but that's another part of this journey of relationships is if your agenda is to change someone's mind, they'll know whether or not you say that explicitly, because people can catch a vibe. To put it plainly. And I hate think about the vacuum of marketing that we are in every single day. Everything that we consume, everything that we're around has been marketed to us, and we're all on the internet, which is like 90% advertisements. Like everything around us is marketing to us. And so we know when we're being sold something. And there's a way to not sell an idea, but to rally someone, to gather someone into your thoughts. And I think honestly the way that happens is by genuine relationship, genuine connection with someone else. And it doesn't come by going into it by trying to change someone's mind or by becoming their friend so you can communicate your thoughts and your feelings, but it actually comes by hearing their thoughts, hearing their perspectives, and setting those aside a lot of times and just starting and being friends with someone rather than, you know, trying to change their mind or whatever. Okay. And then for the third one, I don't know if I have a third one. I think 1 and 2 are pretty strong. I said, don't be offended. Be self-aware. Those are green flags when you can make close friends. Number 1, you're not easily offended. Number 2, what did I say? You're self-aware and you know what makes you angry, what, you know, frustrates you. And number 3, I think what sets you to be a great close friend is honestly, maybe you can catch a vibe. Because sometimes I think people aren't very good at communicating how they feel. And like me, I'm not very good at communicating how I feel. And I am also like extremely low maintenance. So I'm just chill like all the time. And so I think when you're in a space where you can catch a vibe and you can not in like a know what someone needs when they don't say it, because that's hard and that like unreasonable and unsustainable for anyone's life and relationship. But I think when you're able to be aware of like the emotional temperature of someone else, right? Like it's very obvious when someone is like frustrated and they come into a room and they kind of change the vibe, the air changes a little bit. You can kind of catch that. And so I think when you're in a place where you're aware of like, oh, like you can kind of read this person. I feel like that's a great green flag of like, oh, like I am emotionally invested enough in this person where I care about how they feel, and where you can actually change and where you can, you know, adapt your communication to meet them where they are. I feel like that's great. I think it's just honestly a level of like compassion and a little bit of empathy, but I think it's just mostly being compassionate to the way that someone else is feeling, whether that's good or bad. You know, so I feel like you can catch a vibe, because I feel like there's nothing more frustrating than a friend that like doesn't understand what you're feeling. And I also think maybe this is me being dramatic, but I feel like someone who can't understand that or like isn't aware of other people's emotions in the room, good or bad, I feel like that shows a lack of like compassion on their side of like, how are you deliberately ignoring that someone's like frustrated right now? You know what I mean? It just kind of feels a little aloof, and I don't like that personally. Maybe you don't mind, but I mind, because I feel like it just creates a lot of like awkward moments and like strange tension that's already there, and then for someone to just be ignoring that is a little strange. But yeah, those are my 3 points. Let me recap. Number 1. I keep on doing this and then I remember. Okay. Number 1. Oh my gosh. Okay, wait. I remember number 2. Number 2 was be self-aware. Number 1 was... Oh my gosh. Okay, number 3 was catch a vibe. Drum roll for number 1. Oh my gosh, what was it? Oh my gosh. Derek, help. This is the second time this happened to me in this episode. I'm embarrassed. Okay. Derek, help.
I'm trying.
This is gonna be good. This clip is gonna be so good. Okay, well, you'll just have to go back and find out what number 1 was for yourself. Oh my gosh, I genuinely cannot believe I forgot. It's escaped me. I've said so many words. Well, anyways, you really are gonna have to go back for number 1 because I can't remember. And for everyone that's screaming number 1 at me in their car or wherever you're listening to this, thank you. I wish I could hear. Okay, so that's it for today's episode because I genuinely, it's lost, it's gone. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. I love talking about friends. I love talking about relationships and the mechanics of relationships. I think they're so fascinating and I think people are so interesting. But if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow our podcast and subscribe to it on Spotify. I don't know how all the other ones work, but you know what I mean. Like, save the podcast and give it 5 stars wherever you're listening and leave us a comment. Again, reviews, comments, stars, all those things help us so much. And I feel like the content is valuable. I feel like this is helpful. If I had this podcast when I was in my young 20s, I'd be so happy and thankful for it. But okay, love you guys. And websites. I have a website that we're going to add merch to, maybe. I don't know. But we do have a website. We'll link it in the description wherever you're listening. We also have my Instagram. You can follow me. And you are here on Instagram. Links are in the description as well. I think that's it. That's all I got. Anyways, thanks, guys. Love you. Bye.